Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever it may be. If you're watching this, stamp collecting is fun, and we're going to have a look at some of these CCCP postal stamps today. What is CCCP? To you and me, that's the USSR, which is the Union of Soviet Social Republics. So I think there are about 13 or 14 of them ganged together and created that sort of, under the auspices of Russia, communist Russia, communism, following the end of, I think, the First World War. There was some sort of, they got rid of the Tsar and then communism took root. Yeah, and so they, there's a lot of history around Russia, around the Soviet bloc, and a lot of stamps. So we'll have a look at some stamps, and they do love a symbol. So we'll get rid of this particular symbol, and we'll have a look at some stamps. So we'll have a look at the first stamp, which I want to show you, because they are beautiful stamps. For somewhere where it's always snowing, and it's cold and bleak, and you never know that knock on the door's coming, the USSR did create beautiful stamps. So we'll have a look at this stamp first of all, and it's one of a sort of a set. So I've got two of these, but we'll have a look what it says. Well, first of all, we see that it's in the Cyrillic language. So it doesn't say BN delta EH stranger NH. What it says is, in our alphabet, V.I. Lenin. And I think that's Lenin stood up there at a meeting. And it celebrates the 100th anniversary of his birth. 1870, did he die in about, well, when I say die, he was assassinated, he was killed in, 1920, 1921, something like that. Again, this stamp is full, as you can see, of the Cyrillic language, so there's no USSR at all. Now, subsequent stamps, particularly after Perestroika, did add the USSR to make it easier for Westerners to recognise. They were doffing the cap to us and saying, well, we are not your, we speak this, you know what I mean. To make it easier for us to sort of maybe understand them. Maybe it was a policy, maybe it was a ploy to make them more like us. Well, they are, aren't they? Look at them. They have meetings. We have lots of meetings, politics and the like. And here they are, presumably, determining policy into the future. So that's a nice long stamp, probably cancelled to order, so not been through the post. It's in good condition. We look at the back. It hasn't been hinged, so I won't hinge it. It will go in a bag. I had a look at the value quickly on eBay and other sites. It's 20p, 40p max. I'd say 20p max. It's a beautiful stamp though. It is. These weren't barbarians, these were educated people, and yes, it's a work of art, so this is from a painting. It's not a photograph, it's a work of art, so, that's a lovely stamp. And we'll have a look at the second one in the series of this, so we put that away and bring this one to the fore. And here we have W.I. Lenin, again, was it Vladimir Ilyich Lenin? I don't know, you could tell me. This again, possibly cancelled to order. I can't see really anything going on there. Again, it's got the date, it's got a painting, work of art, got Lenin stood in front of a crowd. It's a good stamp, a nice stamp. It is a 1970 stamp, so, it is the 100th anniversary, These are the two. Again, beautiful. Good condition at the back. Again, another 20p if you're lucky. You know, if you can find it in the wild. Okay, what have we got here? Well, here we have a slightly earlier stamp, I would say. I believe it's from a painting by this guy, 1957. Oh, hang on a minute, 1970. So it is again possibly part of this series. I don't know really, to be honest. I messed up with that a little bit, but it's here we've got a little bit of gold sticking up, 50th something or other of whatever. Again, CCCP, 4 kopecks, post there. Lovely stamp, nice work of art, nice and long. The Russian stamps are beautiful, and they do tend to be big, some of them, but not all. Yeah, that's a lovely stamp. So we go to the final stamp, which I want to talk a little bit more about, because when I saw this figure, I thought, well, who is this? He's got his own stamp. 1894 to 1937. I know nothing about him. We've all heard of Lenin and Stalin and Karl Marx and Trotsky and all these others, but I don't know this guy. So I look at this R back to front, something symbol AMAPHNK. Again, it's the Cyrillic language, and it turns out to be Jan. His first name is Jan, and his surname is Garmanik. So G-A-M. So that M is the same as ours. A, same as ours. P is our R. N, H, and you know, you get it. You know, they've got a different alphabet to us. This is a 1964 stamp, 4 kopecks. It's got CCCP. It hasn't yet to have USSR on it. We'll have a look at one or two after with that, and if I can find any. And we'll talk about this stamp for a little bit. Well, it was produced to commemorate Jan. I'll call him Jan, who was born in 1894 and lived till the 31st of May 1937. He was in charge of Kiev, strangely enough. So he was a big noise there, and he organised the districts of the Communist Party. He was a communist, basically, high up in the apparatchik, and he organised districts and voting and the running of Kiev, basically, for a number of years. He was then transferred, or maybe not transferred, but he was then put in charge of the far east of Russia, or the USSR, so right on the tippy tip, past Vladivostok and further south, so it's touching China, Korea, as they go up north. So it's right on that edge there. And he did great, well, when I say he did great works over there, he did the work of the Communist Party. So what he did basically was a lot of the Chinese around there, it was basically the Russians took it over, and they ensured that there were no Chinese or Asiatic type influence in that area, so they deported a lot of Chinese and Koreans from that area. Okie dokie. Unfortunately for him, he got caught up in the Great Purge, they called it, which when Stalin went around shooting all who he thought were his opponents. Just before the start of the Second World War, he got rid of most of his best men, generals and commissars, people he didn't really trust. So there's a massive purge. This guy shot himself on the 31st of May 1937, the day before he thought he was going to be arrested. However, I must tell you another thing about him. A town right on the tippy tip of Russia, stroke Korea, China. A town called Suchan, or Suchan probably, was renamed Germanic after him from 1932 to 1937. Probably the 31st of May 1937, that name went back to being Suchan after he killed himself. Anyway, in 1972, strangely, this very same town became Partisansky, and all the Chinese names were again deported from that area. And then in 2005, it was reported that in that town, there was a community of 10 Korean families. 2005 we're talking about. That's only 10 years ago, when Koreans are returning to that area after all that kerfuffle. Nikita Khrushchev, who was the General Secretary of the Communist Party, their president basically. You remember him, he was up against Kennedy back in those days, so it would have been about, well, whatever it may be. Anyway, in 1955, when Nikita Khrushchev came to power, he rehabilitated Jan Garmanik, and therefore we've got a stamp and a memory of this guy. If he hadn't have been rehabilitated, presumably nobody would have heard anything of him, and this stamp wouldn't exist. So it's an interesting story of the guy, and also the stamp, and also his influence, and what communism can do to a country. I'll just go back to the 2005 bit. That's not long ago, when only 10 families of Asiatic inheritance, DNA, is back in that area. Anyway, we'll have a quick look. I've got this little book here, so we'll try and find more Russian, US, you know what I mean, USSR stamps. Here's a pretty stamp. 1970, so still a bit early. Here's a lady filming. It could be early CCTV. Look at that. She's looking at cars speeding, getting held up by other cars. Rubbernecking, that sort of thing. It's illegal. Here we have CCCP. I don't know what I'm talking about. But again, Lenin is there. Gone on about USSR. Have I actually got any stamps with the word USSR? Maybe I'm dreaming it all up. Just move along a little bit. Seems to have gone into the German area here. Here's more Russia. CCCP. Again, I can't even speak properly. You know what? Maybe I'm in error. Maybe USSR has not been featuring. If you know, let me know. I thought that was a fact. Maybe it was something that I thought I knew, but I was wrong, and that is an urban myth. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it at that for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll just get back to... I won't sing a song, but, these are beautiful stamps, and I think I will be starting a collection proper of CCCP stamps. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.